Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Good Boxing Podcast with your host, Josh Saez. Today, I have a very, very good episode for you, as always. Now, what I want to do is preface the fact that everyone knows Teofimo Lopez versus George Gombosos was set to take place June 5th. Triller, the announcement. Everyone remembers all the hype. People are excited to see the takeover back in action to defend the undisputed crown against George Gombosos, who seems to be like a worthy opponent. He's talking all the good game, he's saying all the right things, and you know how Triller's purse bid sent shockwaves through boxing. However, Mayweather decided to throw his own event with Logan Paul the day after. Now you had Teofimo Lopez, you had Jake Paul fight. I had mentioned that Mayweather's trying to use the hype from those events to kind of supercharge his event. And I'm not sure what the reason is. I'm not sure the reason behind it. However, Teofimo Lopez and George Gombosos allegedly is going to be postponed and pushed back to another date. It's no longer going to take place on June 5th. I guess they realized that a Logan Paul and Teofimo Lopez event on the same weekend probably would cannibalize one another. And at first, I was a little pissed off at this because I thought Teofimo would just hold strong, hold steady, and just keep the date and make it happen. But upon the announcement of Floyd Mayweather's return, I don't blame him for moving. But what's even more exciting, truthfully, is the card that is actually going to take place for the Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Now, we know the main event's a farce. Come on, let's be honest. Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul, there's really nothing that Logan Paul can show. Floyd Mayweather, I don't care if it's size, I don't care if he has power, it doesn't matter. Floyd Mayweather is potentially one of the best fighters of all time. Hate him or love him, you know he has boxing skills. And I just don't think Logan Paul, within the year or a year or two that he's been boxing, can really figure out the Floyd Mayweather game plan. Even if he were to connect with one big shot, I think Floyd can roll the shot off and he'll be fine. I mean, he knows how to survive, and it's an exhibition at the end of the day. So we really should take it with a grain of salt. However, when I did read the other cards, I mean, the other bouts that are on the undercard, I love what I'm seeing. Evidently, you have the return of Badu Jack taking on a champion. He's going to take on a very formidable champion, the guy that beat Marcus Brown in a shocking fight where he knocked Marcus Brown out and ended up shocking the world, is John Pascal. John Pascal, and in this fight, is a live dog. I think him and Badu Jack are a really, really solid matchup. I like the matchup for both of them. And quite frankly, I think this is a very, very good fight to be on the undercard of Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. I'm hearing also that you have Jared Hurd coming back and he's fighting Luis Arias, which is a pretty solid fight considering that we haven't seen Jared Hurd often since he lost to J Rock. And it's kind of sad because Jared Hurd was an unstoppable force, and then he finally met an immovable object, and you already know what happened. Um, J Rock ended up beating him, and it was a shocker. A lot of people didn't expect J Rock to win. I mean, Jared Hurd beat Erislan De Lara and a bunch of other guys that he wasn't supposed to beat. And after the J Rock loss, all of a sudden he changed camps, went with K Karoma, and now fights in a totally different style. He's learned how to box a little more, using his height and his reach. And the last couple of fights that he's been out there, it's not been the most exciting Jared Hurd. And I don't know. I just don't think the style that he's developing right now can beat the best of the best. But hey, it's his career, and I don't blame him for trying to make his career last a little longer and learn how to box, learn how to move, learn how to set traps, etc. So I know the fight with Teofimo Lopez got pushed, but I'm really, really excited to see more or less what the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight brings to the table, because now we actually have a legit undercard. I think it's going to be worth the money. I think it's going to be a card that you should pay for, and it's actually worth the pay-per-view if you're interested in boxing, given the fact that everyone wants to see the sideshow. I know it's a farce, but let's be honest, you're going to order it if you like boxing. If you hate Floyd Mayweather, you hope he loses. If you love Floyd Mayweather, you just like to see him in action. And if you like boxing, honestly, support one of the goats of the ring and someone that, yes, he may not have been your favorite fighter, but the more eyes on boxing, the better for future generations, especially for the old timers. I think it's perfect to have these exhibitions once in a while where you get the nostalgic feel, you get to scratch that nostalgia itch, and you get to just feed the future. Let the old fighters mentor the newer fighters, and potentially they can take care of themselves better at the end of their career and don't have to take these terrible fights that they probably shouldn't be taking against young, strong champions. If you can make money in other avenues, fight a YouTuber, whatever way, it's better for boxing in the long run because there's more money in the pie and fighters always benefit off of this. Sure, the companies need to make money and they are going to make money. And look, you can't be mad at people investing money and making money. I mean, it's literally the American way, right? Capitalism. You want to make as much money as you can with as little risk as you can. But when you're fighting, you're taking the ultimate risk every time you step in that ring. You never know if you're going to get out there alive or 100% yourself. So the more money these fighters can make, I'm all for it. And yes, I believe the fight is a farce, but you got to give credit to Logan Paul for making this opportunity happen with his avid fan base. You got to thank Jake Paul for his avid fan base. You got to thank the Ryan Garcias, the Canelos, and the people before them that set the platforms for these kind of fights where people can generate massive amounts of money without taking super, super hard or super high risks, rather. So I just wanted you guys to touch on that. What do you think about that Jake Paul, Floyd Mayweather card? Do you think it's worth it? I mean, watching Badu Jack fight John Pascal, I think that's a pretty competitive fight. I do want to see it, and I'll be looking forward to it. Seeing Jared Hurd back in action will be nice too. We don't know what we're going to get with Hurd right now with that style. You don't know if he can actually beat a good pressure fighter because let's be honest, he looks susceptible and awkward as someone trying to box. It just doesn't seem to be his temperament, but it'll be nice to see what he's been working on in the gym. I like Jared Hurd. I think he's a good kid. His story is pretty good. I like that win he had over J Rock. I'm sorry, the win he had over Arislan Lara, where he was supposed to lose that fight, but he came out on top. And I do want to see him still against the Charlo brothers. I do still want to see him against the upper echelon of fighters. Maybe get that J Rock rematch. J Rock did lose recently. So that's the episode for today. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for the fight? Are you not excited for the fight? If you hate the video, if you like the video, just show some love. Stop by, leave a comment. Thank you so much. Follow the Instagram at Good Boxing Podcast. And I'll actually be over in Dallas, so the content may slow down a little bit. I still have a bunch of content that I'm putting out. If you're not following the YouTube channel and you listen to it via Spotify or Apple, feel free to check out the YouTube channel. If you just watch via YouTube, feel free to go and support the podcast on Spotify and Apple. I just like giving as many avenues as possible to distribute the content. Thank you so much and have a great day.